Keep your radio dial right here. You're locked into the hottest news station on the planet. Hot 702.5 in FM sound. Blazing today's hip hop, R&B, and pop music. Keeping your radio on fire. Bringing you the hottest, realest, riskiest talk shows live 24/7 on hot7025fm.com.
It's your main man 360 the Poet from the Morning Wood. And are you looking for the perfect drink? Well, you found it. Mimosa Royale is the perfect combination of California's sparkling white wine and natural juice that is both tasty and refreshing. No artificial colors or flavors, no sugar added, and it's gluten-free. As the world's first ready-to-drink mimosa, Mimosa Royale is perfect for any occasion, day or night. You no longer have to drink 12 of those seltzers just to get that perfect buzz. At 8% alcohol, Mimosa Royale is the perfect drink to party with. Offered in a variety of flavors and sizes, you are bound to find a Mimosa Royale that you'll love. We have berry, mango, apple, and orange, with more flavors to come. Mimosa Royale is the most award-winning flavored wine that serves in bottles or cans. You can find them online at drinkmimosa.com or find them at your local liquor store. Ask for it by name. Mimosa Royale.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J. Bruno Mars.
On hot7025fm.com.
Tune in now on hot7025fm.com.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. How y'all doing today? I hope y'all doing great. It's been a pretty decent week for me, pretty busy week, sleepless week, restless week, I should say sleepless, but restless. I've been working, I think I worked all weekend at the other job. I've been working since I got back from vacation, actually, low key, to be honest, but it's all good. I like to be able to provide. Speaking of, man, well, first of all, let me tell about the week, the conversations I've been having, that my thought process, and how things have been affecting me lately. Mainly dealing with the fact that I work two jobs. My kids, the wife, they all let it be known how I work a lot. I'm never home. I'm always gone. I come in late nights. I leave early mornings. The kids see me when I drop them off at school. May not see me again until they wake up again the next morning. It's tough for them. From what I'm getting the feedback, they've been very vocal about wanting me to tone it down some and be home more. So it's been affecting me because, I'm just trying to provide, just trying to be a man, do what I got to do for my family. But I also know what it feels like as a kid to not have your dad around. It may even hurt more to know that he's around, but he's always at work. That might be even crazier to see. But I just have some processing to do. Make a plan, get to where I can possibly go down to one job, and then everybody wins. Everybody wins. I'm just used to providing. I'm used to working hard, taking care of everything. So it's tough to hear that me providing is hurting them in a way, but I feel like I can still provide and give them more of my time. So I got to work on that, and I hear them loud and clear. I got to work on that. So I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get through it. But this last week has been real tough on the shifting on, working so much and how my family actually feels. Even the little ones are starting to say something now. So, hey, that must be a sign. That must be a problem. Even though I may be there for key moments like I need to be, I should be there for more. So I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna work on that and do better at it because they deserve it. They deserve it for sure. And I think I'm at a point now where it wouldn't hurt to be at one job and just kind of learn to relax and be a family man and, just spend more time with the kids, I think it'll be worth it. I just need to, my whole life, I've just worked. So I've been more than one job my entire life. So going down to just one, it's a little different, but I got to make that transition sooner or later, hopefully sooner than later, hopefully sooner than later. But again, good evening, good people. I'm gonna get into the show. Welcome back to the show. Tonight we're having a real conversation. It may not be a comfortable one, but it's one that is needed, a necessary one for sure. Um, and a little disclaimer before I get into today's show, into today's topics. I just want to remind you all that all of my children are by my wife, who I am still currently with. Okay. All of my children are still with my wife, who I am currently with. So when I have this conversation, it's from the friends I hear, conversations with the men that talk to me, the conversations I have with other men out and could be at work, could be anywhere, could be online. Um, and some personal experiences, that I've had in the past. I'll get some of those too into this situation. But now that I've made that disclaimer, I want to talk about this. Um, Reactive blaming is what I want to talk about. And we're talking about something a lot of men experience, but don't always speak on out loud, right? To every single person that they meet. And I'm talking about being a stepfather, you know, in a situation where you're expected to give everything, but not allowed to be everything. Give everything, but not allowed to be everything. And if you don't get it, don't worry. We finna get into it, so you'll get it soon here. You'll get it real soon. See, these two topics might sound separate to you, um, but they are deeply connected. Okay, deeply connected. Now, the reason I say that is because when accountability is missing, confusion steps in, right? And when confusion steps in, relationships start breaking down, right? Um, Households lose structure, and children end up caught in the middle of it all every single time, right? So tonight we're going to unpack it calmly, honestly, and with purpose. Okay. First, I want us to understand what reactive blaming is, or to get an idea of what it may look like, at least. Um, and reactive blaming is when someone avoids taking accountability, right? When someone avoids taking accountability by immediately flipping the issues back on you. It sounds like this. Well, you did this. If you hadn't done that, I wouldn't have reacted like this. Now, instead of dealing with one issue, you've created two, and nothing gets solved. Nothing at all gets solved. A lot of men deal with this when they finally speak up. You hold something in, you try to stay calm, you try to approach it respectfully, and the moment you expose how you feel, it gets turned on you. It gets turned on you so fast. Now you're defending yourself instead of being heard. And over time, that creates that silence we talked about last week. Because a man will eventually stop talking if every conversation turns into a battle instead of a solution. At that point, I don't really have an option but to just leave it alone. That's where it would come from. Let me give you a real life example. A man comes home after a long day. He's been holding things in, trying to keep the peace. He finally sits down with his partner and says, I feel like lately I haven't been heard. Like what I say doesn't really matter. Now, instead of her saying, talk to me, what makes you feel like that? She responds with, well, maybe if you didn't shut down all the time, I wouldn't act like that. Now the conversation just flipped. He came to express a feeling, and now he's defending his character. Nothing got solved. Nothing got better. It just stayed the same. That's reactive blaming. And after enough of those moments, that man will stop opening up altogether on you. Altogether. Because why would he feel like he need to open up to you when he realized that you won't even give him the space to do so? If every time he try to open up to you, it's going to become an issue where y'all can't resolve it, why is he trying to open up to you? Why should he continue trying to open up to you? Right. And again, this is going off of the information of the man trying to do all the healthy ways and healthy things he should, not just off the gate ignoring you, you know. Let me just make that clear. Now let's bring this into the household, especially in blended families, because I have nothing against blended families. I think it's wonderful to see the ones that are successful. I think it's amazing that they show that there are times you can make blended families work. I love it. It's amazing because it shows so much maturity and growth. It gives you inspiration to know that it can work out, and those people that don't want it to work out is because they don't want it to work out. You know, um, but a man steps in. He's helping provide, showing up consistently. He's building a relationship with the child or children. But the moment he tries to correct behavior or provide structure, even though we all know children need and thrive off of structure, you know, now instead it's that's not your child, or don't do too much, or you're crossing the line. But here's the confusion. This is what confuses everyone in the household. You wanted help until help looked like leadership. And now when he tries to lead, it gets shut down. That's where reactive blaming shows up again. Because instead of having a conversation about roles and boundaries, it becomes emotional, defensive, and dismissive. Okay. Um, Here's another one. A man is dating a woman with a young son. He's been around for a while, taking him to school, helping him with homework, showing up to games, helping out with practice. And one day the child gets out of line, talking back, being very disrespectful. Could be to him or the mother, either or. So the man steps in and says, "Hey, we're not doing that. Fix your tone." And immediately the mother jumps in, "Don't talk to my child like that." Now he's confused. Now the boy's confused because he's feeling like yesterday you appreciated him helping, but today he crossed the line. That's where the disconnect starts. And we all know some of us have been there before, right? For example, I've dealt with someone in the past where what I like to say is some women in that position want all the benefits of a stepfather, or most of the benefits of a stepfather, besides structure and discipline. And my argument is here: if I'm going to accept you and your children, I am to love your children as if they are my own. So with me doing that, there are going to be some things that I feel like should not be going on or should not be happening. As a man, that's my point of view. That's what I'm going to feel like. Am I ever going to do anything to put your children in jeopardy or in danger? Never. Because again, I want to treat them like my own. But there are some things I would have to correct in behavior because some things you may not see or you may not acknowledge due to the fact that it's just, you're naive to it, or you don't mind it, or you came up on a different approach growing up with it. Hey, it is what it is, but we work through it together. But if I see behavior that has to be corrected and I try to correct it in a healthy way, because I'll come to you too with it. But if I come to you and I try to correct it in a healthy way, and I get told those things, that I'm not the dad and I'm crossing the line, I'm overstepping the boundaries, you know what? You are right. 100%. I apologize for overstepping my boundaries. So the next day comes and you ask me to watch the kids. Oh, no, you should call their father for that. Can you take the kids to? No, no, no. You want to call their father for that. I did not cross a line. I followed the boundary you put up. I'm there with it. You don't want me to be their father figure. You want me to help you, but you don't want me to be their father figure. You just want the help from me. Because if you put stipulations on how I can be a parent too with the kids, then how am I helping you as a father? The other side I got from that was, well, I don't trust certain people around my kids. If you don't trust me around your kids, why are you with me and why are you introducing me to your children? You still have to take accountability somewhere. There's always a way to just see that we both have a part to play in it, you know? We both have the part to play in it. So a lot of men go through it where they're having that situation, that scenario going on. And that's what they getting told. And they like, well, I'm confused because you wanted my help yesterday and you appreciated it. But today I'm crossing the line because I'm trying to help again in the way that a man can. Or, because there are certain things you're going to be able to help this young man with that I can't as his mother. I'm not going to get in the way of that. I can't. There are some things I may want to coach you through or walk you through when it comes to what you try to do with him. But when it comes to things that only you can teach him and do with him, I cannot get in the way of that. I'm not even going to try. It's not meant for me to get in the way of it, you know? Because again, children need structure and discipline. They benefit from it. I'm telling you, they benefit from it. They benefit heavily from it. All right. Now let's talk directly to the men for a moment, okay? Directly to y'all. Fellas, there are men out here stepping into situations not because they have to, but because they choose to do so. They choose to. They're loving children that aren't biologically theirs. They're providing, they're protecting, they are showing up every single day, and yet they feel like outsiders in their own home. Ain't that crazy? No real authority, no real say, no real respect tied to the responsibility that they are carrying. And that's a heavy place to live in. I feel like it's heavy in the place that I'm responsible for. So I can only imagine one that you're not. Because a man can handle pressure. You know what I mean? But what breaks him down is being expected to carry weight without being acknowledged for carrying it. Let's go a little deeper with that. There's a man living in the home, okay? He's paying the bills, he's buying groceries, he's making sure the lights stay on, your car got gas, insurance is good and up to date, registration is new. The kids come to him when they need things. He's playing a role. I mean, give that man a 14 out of 10, if you ask me. But the moment he tries to enforce rules, let's say bedtime, respect, accountability, now it's you doing too much or that's not your place. And I'm like, well, damn, what should be your place if you, I'm confused. Maybe you need to get another place and get away from that place. No, 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 no. All seriousness. Now he's expected to provide the benefits of a father, but not allowed to give the structure of one. Ain't that crazy? He can give all the benefits of a father, but not allowed to give the structure of one. That's crazy. And here's the problem. You can't separate provision from discipline, right? They go hand in hand. So because a child doesn't just need comfort, they need correction too. And it's always a healthy way to give that to a child without being aggressive, violent, stuff like that of that nature. Now, with saying that, this is the part that we have to talk about carefully but honestly. Um, there are situations where a man is expected to step up. There are financially, emotionally, physically present. But when it comes to discipline, like structure and guidance, he gets told to step back, right? And I'm not saying it's all all of them in this situation, but there are some men dealing with these situations as a stepfather. But what that does to them is that makes them feel like they think, for lack of a better word, they feel like they boo boo the fool. That's what they feel like. They feel like no matter how much effort and efficiency I put into this, no matter how much I'm dedicated, how motivated I am, no matter how much I am showing you that not only am I capable of the job, but I am going above and beyond on the job, you're telling me I'm overqualified in a way. You're overqualified. So instead of giving me the job, you want my help finding somebody else or finding something, finding ways that the position can be filled without there being somebody in that position. You know what? You want to be a temp agent. You want me to be there to help. But when things get serious, you're ready to tell me, hey, we're gonna go ahead and part ways. It's been about 3 months, 6 months. Your time here is done. Your seasonal position is over with. How is that fair to these men? It's not fair at all. Again, I respect the fact of women saying they trust certain people around their children wholeheartedly. I respect it 1,000%. My whole thing is don't introduce your kids to a man you don't trust. And I feel as if you introduce, and this just me as a parent, if you introduce your kids to somebody, you gotta trust it. I feel like you do. You trust them enough. So why not let them help in a position that you don't have available? It's tough to share control because I think in our society we're so set on the fact of that biological thing that um we let it control it all. So what I mean by that is I've seen stepfathers across the nation step up and do what's right for these kids with no complaints, no questions, no comments, and no concerns. And these children have loved these stepfathers. Have even some have even gone to the point of letting them know that I want you to be my actual father. Some have even gone to the point of where they've seen if they can get adopted by that other father because they're doing so well, you know? Um, and I think our society is so stuck on biological that they don't see that even the kids can notice a father, a dad, versus a sperm donor. So if the kids can acknowledge that that person is a father to them, I think it would only dilute their minds by telling them that or saying at least in front of them, don't talk to my child like that. That's not your kid. You're doing too much. You're crossing the line. That's unfair because I think if the man told you next month, hey, where your half at on the bills? And you like, what you talking about? No, I think that's unfair that you're making me pay all the bills. You crossed the line. Like, that's just sound crazy. But you see what I mean about it though? It sounds crazy. It sounds ridiculous. Um, we have to learn to get in the way of getting out of old mindsets that lead to bad habits. We have to figure out how to get through and get past that because I kid you not, that's going to be the reason that some of us are being held back. Because when you put a man in that position after all of that and what he's doing, he's in a position where he's being asked to give the benefits of a father without being allowed to fully be one. That's not balance, that's selective partnership. You can't say, help me raise my child, but don't correct my child. Because part of raising that child is maybe correcting him sometimes. You can't say, be a man in this house, but only when it's convenient for me. That don't work out that way. Because what that creates is confusion for the man and inconsistency for the child, which the child is the bigger picture in this. Not about you no more. Now, children don't grow in inconsistency. They grow in structure. Nothing but structure. They grow in good, healthy structure. And let's not forget the child in all of us, the child watching everything. I'm telling you. There's a little girl watching her mother override the man in the house, or a young boy watching a man get dismissed when he tries to lead. Now that child grows up learning men don't really have authority here. Respect is optional depending on how you feel. And we wonder later why there's a lack of structure, respect, and stability. Children don't just listen to what we say, they watch what we allow. These kids are so curious. They pay attention so much. I don't think that some of us noticed, I don't think we notice how much the kids pay attention, right? I say that because, for example, my 2 year old, the other day, he told his mom, he came in the house looking for me, and she was like, "Oh, he's at work." He's like, "Oh, where daddy?" Or she's like, "He's at work." He said, "He's at work again?" Mommy goes, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, no, not again." Like, he really like, "Oh, no, not again." I mean, he know I'm at work all the time. He pay attention to little stuff like that. The 2 year old, it's crazy work. Um, or the fact that, my kids, at the point, if we ever get louder than we normally do joking, they'll immediately think we finna argue. So they'll be like, "No, no, no, don't argue." It's like they pay attention so much, it makes you realize you have to change things up because of what they see and what they allow, or what we allow them to see. These children are so attentive that it's crazy to realize it. Like, they be telling me stuff about things that I've done or that I'm doing, and I be so shocked that they remember or pay attention to that so well. So as we're going through life, the things we do, the way we operate, these kids see that. Imagine if I beat on their mama every single day. Now my son's gonna grow up thinking it's okay to hit women, and my daughter's gonna think it's okay to be hit on. What? No. I have to be the example so that way they know what to look for, or at least what to avoid, right? Well, you know what? My daddy always opened the door for me. The fact that you get mad about opening my door, that's a red flag. Or my sons, well, I'm just trying to talk to you, and the fact that you get upset when I want to have a conversation, it's a red flag. Like, I want you to see that. I want them to be able to decipher if their energy deserves them to react in a way, or how do I say this? I want them to realize the energy in the room on how they should react to it. Sorry, that's what I'm trying to say. I want them to understand that every route or routine, you can calmly find the best resolution there without flipping out, right? In the best positive and healthy way. Um, my kids watch me grow every single day and do better and change. I try to improve all the time for them, but that don't mean that I'll stop because I know that they see that I'm improving. I mean, I'll keep going because I want them to see that it over time I'll get better and better at it. I'm trying to get them to learn and understand. You're not gonna learn everything in one day. You're not gonna know it all. You're gonna have to learn it all through life, one day at a time if you got to. You know, don't try to put too much in your plate that you can't handle at the time. Worry about what you can. Don't worry about what you can't. But what you do have to worry about is controlling your emotions, because your emotions can lead to all of those other things you don't need it to be. You know. And I was not the best at handling and dealing with my emotions for a while. So with me having to realize that my children are now involved in this, I had to figure it out for myself. I had to figure it out for myself. I couldn't sit there and just keep on going back and doing the same thing over and over again. I realized that my kids need me to do better and change, and I have to be there for them. So all of my actions, they see. My son will literally put on a black shirt with a black long sleeve underneath, talking about, "Welcome to mini golf. How can I help you?" Like he working at the mini golf, my nighttime job. He see that I'm working. He gonna have good work ethic. I'm happy about that. I like that. Little things like that let me know that they are paying attention when I don't even notice that they're paying attention. Cause when I come home from work, I normally go in the room, shit, shower, and shave. Excuse my language if I must, but yeah. But they know, they see, they know, and they see. Now let's bring balance into this. I don't want to seem like there ain't no way to get to a better option for it. Because some women aren't coming from a place of control. They're coming from hurt, right? Past relationships, broken trust, situations where the wrong man had access to their child, right? So now they guard everything. And that instinct is real, it's valid, but here's where growth comes in. If you've chosen a man to be in your life and around your child, there has to be a level of trust that matches that decision, because you can't invite someone into a role and then restrict them from fulfilling it. It's like being a hypocrite in a way. It's like you telling that man that I invited you over, I invited you into this I want you to be a part of my family, but I don't want you to be a main character. Can you be an NPC? Crazy. It's kind of crazy. Now let's look at the other side, right? A woman allowed the wrong man around her child before. He wasn't consistent. He wasn't safe emotionally, maybe not even physically. So now she meets a good man. But every time he tries to step into a role, she pulls back, not because he's wrong, but because she's still protecting her child from her past. And that's real. Gotta respect it. But healing has to happen, or you'll punish the right person for what the wrong one did. Ooh. Man, I like that. Healing has to happen, or you'll punish the right person for what the wrong one did. It's crazy, huh? In two situations, you have a woman that has to have some level of trust because of it, and a woman that has been hurt before by a man's actions with her children. In both roles, healing is required, regardless. Healing is required. Are you understood, and is your thoughts respected for what may have happened in the past? Absolutely, 100%. 100%. But without the proper healing, that trauma will continue to pull you back because of what you've been through in the past. And because of that, you'll end up again hurting the right person over what the wrong one did. You don't want that to happen. Then you're going to feel more guilty or more bad about the situation. You just don't want that to happen. Now, for the men, fellas, fellas, don't come in trying to demand authority. Build the relationship first, earn the trust, show consistency. Respect is earned. Remember that, not given. Leadership isn't forced, it's established over time. For the women, if you want a man to help lead your household, you have to allow him space to lead, not control, not overpower, but lead with you, not against you, with you. Because a healthy home is not built on one person holding all the power, it's built on alignment, you know? Last one. A man tries for months, maybe years. He shows up, he's invested, he loves that child or children like his own. But every time he tries to fully step into that role, and I mean every single time, he's reminded that's not your child. That's not your child. So eventually, what happens is he stops trying. He feels like, yeah, that's not my child. Not because he didn't care, but because he got tired of being in a position where he could give everything he had, no matter what it was, day in, day out, and still not fully be accepted. And you know what's crazy about it is when he leaves, when he walks away from that situation, you know what everybody gonna say? He gave up. He gave up. He wasn't man enough. He couldn't handle it. It was too many responsibilities for him. But what they don't see is how long he stayed before he did just walk away. Why is that not talked about for months? That man could have stayed for 10 years and then decided to walk away. And y'all would have said, well, you waited too long to walk away. Or maybe he tried everything in the goddamn book that he can find and think of before he decided it was time to go. Because he cared that much. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe that's what took place. Anyway, let's bring it back down a little bit. Amos 3:3 says, chapter 3, verse 3. Can two walk together unless they are agreed? And that's the foundation of everything we're talking about tonight. Agreement. Understanding roles, respecting boundaries, and being accountable when we fell short. God is not the author of confusion. I think it says that many of times that God is not the author of confusion. So if there's constant confusion in the household, something is out of alignment. Something is out of alignment. I don't. I say that to say this: there are a lot of good men out here that are willing to step up and be a father to these children that have no guidance in that role. The only roadblock that most of these men are having, that they're expressing, is that they are trying to be there for these children like they were their own. And they're getting neglected when they try to build structure, when they try to discipline, when they try to correct bad or negative behavior. I feel as if you owe it to these men to respect them enough that if you can let them lead the household, you can let them lead the household. So if these children need guidance and structure and discipline in ways that you've never given them, that's okay if it's going to be new to them. But if that's the man you chose to lead and show them what a father, what a man looks like, you have to let him do that 100%. You cannot pick and choose when you want him to be a father for your child. It does not benefit you in an argument because you want to state facts. Because the facts are biologically, they may not be his children, but financially, he's provided, mentally, he's provided, he's supported, whatever it may be, emotionally, he's there. He's being a father. And you want to take that away from him because biologically, you got pregnant by somebody that don't want to be around. To the women that do have the father around, I think I want to give a shout out to those men because in most of those cases, you see the men. eh, I can go based off of what I see, I should say, based off of what I see. But in cases where you have the fathers around and there is a stepfather, those men tend to be able to get along with each other. Am I saying it's perfect? Not at all. Not at all. What I am saying is that it's possible and they tend to work things out and communicate in an effective way. I give a shout out to those men. I give a shout out to those men for sure, 1,000%. Because a lot of people will not sit there and have that same grace with each other. Or some people, I say. So the respect y'all have for each other will always be unmatched to be able to have that going on. You know, I pray that if that time ever comes, if me and Diamond ever leave, separate, and there is a stepfather around, I just pray that we have a great relationship with each other. Because my boy, I'm not here to stop anything you got going on, and if you good to my children and they like you and you a good dude, I have nothing against you, my man. In my eyes, you trying to go play ball later on or something? Terrence got a basketball game this weekend. Let me stop being funny. I know she ain't going nowhere, but still, I'm just saying. Um, you have you have men in that position where they are combative with each other because of the fact that there's a possibility that they still may want each other, or one may want the other, or they may still be messing around. Who knows? There's different variables. But what I will say is the majority of the cases that I've always seen where the men are being a stepfather and the dad is still around, man, you can't separate those three together. All three, the kid and the dads. I say the dads. But that's because the mother is allowing the space and opportunity. Plus, the stepfather, is probably respecting the boundaries of the father. But if you anything like me, when it come down to it, man, I'm gonna make sure my kids in check for you. You ain't even gotta worry about it. I'm gonna make sure they in check for you. Now, if I'm not here on this earth, hopefully was able to give you my blessing before I walked away. Now, let me stop being funny and stop playing around. But to be on a serious note, a lot of men have respect for each other enough to where they can come to an understanding on how discipline and structures works. For example, all discipline doesn't have to be the kid getting a whooping or getting hit. So if you tell me that discipline is going to be the fact that you're taking away my kids' devices because they ain't listening, they're not following directions, or they're being disrespectful to you, hey man, go for it. Go for it. No problem at all. They give you any pushback, they start tripping, get to calling you out your name, anything, call me. I got you. I'm gonna come help you out. And I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna get them in front of you so they know not to play with you like that. Cause that's disrespectful. I don't raise disrespectful kids. You know? That's cool. You got men that will make those conditions with each other. They will get that set. So shout out to the men that are capable of doing so. Shout out to the men that are capable of doing so. But I just need y'all to realize that there are some good men out there that are willing to put in that position. You want so bad, you crave so bad for your child to have. There are some good men out there willing to do it. The only thing stopping it is, well, you know. I'm just saying. So to the men stepping up, don't lose who you are trying to prove your worth in a space that won't recognize it. Always remember that, or try to remember that. And to the women, be careful not to block the very support system you once prayed for. You weren't expecting that, was you? Huh. Just because it doesn't look exactly how you imagined, don't mean you ain't get what you prayed for. And for everyone listening, accountability is not an attack. It's the doorway to growth, peace, and real stability. That's exactly what it is. I think some of us are just a little too scared to realize that accountability will open more doors than it closes, is what you fail to realize. I think from personal experience on this one, I think some of us are scared to be accountable because we think that once we take accountability, that people gonna be like, see, I'm gonna point the finger at you because you took accountability. I'm pointing the finger at you. And that's not the case. And if you ask me, I think accountability now, I think it's for yourself. I think it helps you more than anybody else. To be so honest, I think it helps you more than anything. So it's not like I want anyone to think I'm attacking them at all. You know what I mean? I want everybody to know that I care enough to call you out on your bullshit so you can improve and grow, do better and be better. Because if I had somebody to call me out, I would have been, you know what? Let me reset that. If I had someone to call me out in the right way, in a healthy way, in a good way that I can understand, I would have appreciated it. Because it feels so much better to hear somebody come to you from a place of caring, a place of love, than a place of aggression. So, to those people from my past that have tried to, and I probably shut you down or didn't really hear you out, I apologize for my reaction. I apologize for the way I reacted. It may have been possibly the way you were telling me or the way you were trying to talk to me about it that triggered me in a way that I didn't want to hear it. I'm not saying you are wrong. I'm not saying you are right. I'm just saying that on that end, I will apologize for my part in this situation. Now, as an adult, as a 33-year-old man, I realize that sometimes my reactions were not the best. They were not the best at all. What I am willing to do is acknowledge the fact that I've become a better man, a better individual. My past is my past. I cannot change it. There's no need to. I can't change it. It is what it is. I have learned from it. I will grow from it. I will be a better man tomorrow than I was today. That's my plan. That's my goal. It's real simple and easy, you know? So I just say that to say, like I personally went through it. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. I'm still doing better. But that's part of the journey is taking that step. What you may feel like is an attack may be the key you need to unlock that door you've been banging on for so long. You know, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But I do appreciate y'all again for coming out and listening to me on this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Y'all come and talk to me every week. Thank y'all so much. Thank y'all so much. But we'll follow up again next week with some more, see where things are at. I just want to tell y'all I love y'all and I care about y'all, man. And don't forget, we are officially 2.5 months away from the greatest season ever invented. Gemini season is coming. It's coming. It's coming. We are almost here. The Geminis are out to play. Anyway, and your Gemini president is back. I got reelected for another year. Anyway, long story short, I appreciate y'all. I will catch y'all again next Wednesday on the hottest radio station on the planet, Hot 702.5 FM. Peace, love, and hair grease. I'll catch y'all next week.
Hi. Hey.
What's up? What's up? All your favorite artists.
Check it out. Say my name. DJ Khaled. This is Mila J. Bruno Mars.
On Hot 702.5FM.com.